when you think, how do I move out of wild, raging, attached desire into preference? The real key to it, besides offering to the divine, the real key to it is abundance, which is why I gave you that prayer, or my friend gave you the prayer. If you're in a state of abundance, which is that everything that's meant to happen for you is going to happen, it is so easy to be in a state of preference. Because you're trusting. Oh, it doesn't have to be that person. There could be 20 other people. It doesn't have to be that house. There could be 30 other houses. It doesn't have to be that job. It could be, you stop looking at the economy, you stop looking at all these outer symbols that the culture says are going to show you the rampant scarcity that exists everywhere, which is a complete illusion. You become the source of abundance. You become the source of abundance. And once you're the source of abundance, it's very easy to live from a state of preference. That feeling of the intensity, I'll die without it, I'll die without it. What's really funny is that's the part of the ego that just transfers from thing to thing to thing. That's why as soon as you get the thing that you think you're going to die without, 2 weeks later the ego's like, oh, now I think I'm going to die if they leave me. Or, oh, now I think I'm going to die if I lose the job. Because it's a constant moving target of scarcity. Until you own that place, that the abundance is actually the foundation of where preferences arise from. Does that make sense? So that feeling, it's funny because wild raging desires are fun. So I'm not trying to, look, when you have 8 planets in fire, it's like, it's fun. It's just that it comes from the place of what if it doesn't happen? What if it doesn't happen? What if, this woman came to me once and I remember she was 40 and she was so scared that she wasn't going to have a kid. That it was like time was running out, time wasn't running out. And the whole work that we did was just to go into that place of abundance, to say, there's infinite time. If it's meant to be, if your prarabdha karma is that you're meant to have that kid, the kid is either going to come because you get pregnant in your 40s, or because there's a whole other child who is meant to come through adoption, or because you fall madly in love with somebody who already has a kid, or who knows what. God's very creative. I mean, that's what's amazing about this, is the vast creativity of the divine, as opposed to all the limited ways that the ego thinks that create fear. So much of that kind of the fire of, oh, I've got to have this, is based in the scarcity. And that's why I love 2 things. One is that Change Me prayer that you just got, which we'll come back to later, but I think a lot of you are familiar with it from my Facebook page, where you really can say to the divine, change me into somebody who can live from a place of that abundance. Shift me into that, because nothing, even if you grew up in the healthiest family in the world, very few people, just because of the nature of our culture, learned that state of abundance. I sure did. I learned the opposite. And all I know is if I could learn it, absolutely anybody could. Because I was 6 years old laying in bed worrying about what would happen when I was 6.5. When people talk about your carefree childhood, I was like, I was a Capricorn. I was thinking, wow, I'll be 6.5 in 6 months, and then what? So. So what I like for cultivating that sense of abundance, besides the Change Me prayer, which we'll deal with later, is metta. And some of you are probably familiar with metta. And metta meditation is, we're going to do a bit of it on this part, where you basically you become the purveyor of blessings, as opposed to thinking, oh, there's this thing out there and I'll die without it, which is usually based in the poverty on the inside. Metta would say, first you send the blessings to yourself, and then you extend them out from yourself wider and wider into the world until you're filling the whole room that we're in, until you're filling the whole world. And as you practice it, you really get this sense you are the carrier of the blessings. That's it. You were born that way. Nobody could take it away from you. Every tree is a carrier of blessings. The only ones that are, most cats know that, right? I mean, most, hedgehogs know that. I think the only things that don't know that are people, because we get told otherwise. But as soon as you're in that place of inviting, you are the carrier of the blessing, it's not coming from anywhere else, then it deeply affects how you look at desire, because you're the carrier. So anything else that comes could be fabulous, but it's not going to give you more than you are, because you're the carrier. It's such a great trick for how to get around that bend that says, I'll die if I can't have it. Not if you're the carrier of the blessings. Even if you died, you'd still remain the carrier of the blessings, because you're this eternal soul, endlessly carrying blessings. Even if you live in a crazy culture that said that's not true. Still, every tree knows it. Every blade of grass knows it. Only humans are taught to forget it.